All right, we are here. We are here again. Oh, don't want to draw that fib. Okay, so let's go. Pretty jam-packed day today. There's actually some pretty cool movements that I'm pretty excited to discuss. Wow, was that we'll see in the hourly chart what kind of, if there's a gap or anything. Again, I have this fair value gap delineated by this daily low, this daily high, this daily high. This happens to cut exactly 50% into this. This blue line is a hourly BISI, and we have some interesting stuff up here now. Well, we got this inefficiency right here, this thin price. So price may want to close over that, or it might leave it. We'll see what happens. But it has been rejecting pretty good off of this. It hasn't. This actually today. This is today. It wicked all the way through it, and you know what? It might be done with it. It might be leaving it. We might be headed up here for Thursday. We'll see, right? Monday. I wouldn't be surprised if we're going to make a new high, because this seems like the weekly low, right? That's August 12th. That's August 11th. Okay, so yeah, this might be the weekly low. Man, went by quick. And so we may make a new weekly high. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Maybe we'll come and reject off 50% and then go up. We'll see. But we're going to get down. We could go over the 4-hour real quick. Again, I'm just trying to get through all the time frames. That way, the next day I'm in there, I could identify some levels that are key. So we got this balance price area that it wicked all the way through to this order block. So we're kind of in a middle ground here, right? We had this daily fair value gap wicked all the way through. We had this 4-hour fair value gap and the 1-hour fair value gap wicked all the way through. And now we're in the middle of the two. None the wiser. If it had not wicked one of them, maybe we say go down there, but it got both of them today. So, maybe Thursday we got to be a little extra careful in that we don't have a great idea of where it's going to go direction-wise. We did have that daily inefficiency that we saw in the daily chart where there was just wicks, the thin price right there. So maybe it will go up into that zone. I don't know. Or put a daily candle over it tomorrow on the high side and then come back through. I don't know. We don't know. Like I said, if it maybe didn't wick the top yet, that's where it wants to go now after it got kind of business done down here, balanced price a little bit, but we'll see. If I were to compare the two areas, right, this seems a little bit more balanced up here than this. And this candle being right here makes me think a 50% rejection might be a good idea. I don't know. Just an idea. We have to see where it goes and then see on the smaller time frame what kind of things happen, and if there's volatility and stuff like you know what I mean. If it reaches this level and it jumps up there, has a strong reaction to it, then maybe we could use that. Okay, let's go down to the 1 hour. Can I go daily, 4-hour, 1 hour? I have been doing 15-minute because sometimes the 15 minutes fairly relevant, but especially in larger range days. But we've been kind of just lingering around this past all-time high. All right, 1 hour. So this is really cool. Again, this little unshaded area right here is today's price action. It started the day by going all the way down. And this would have been honestly right here. I think so. Yeah, 845. There was a good potential entry because you see what's happening here, right? We're getting that ladder climbing type deal going on with this one, and it left here. So it was right at the open, and so I wasn't keen to take it, but I saw it. I saw it there, which was cool. I'm happy about that. Okay. But anyways, here's a breaker right here. High, low, higher high, hourly breaker. And if we want to zoom in right there, there's a little inefficiency between these two candles. There's a fair value gap inside of a breaker. And it ticked it. got it in there and it rejected hard all the way to the top here. I was in this short. Oh, I did good today too on my, I got two trades. This is paper trading. But we're up there now. That's in like 3 to 4 weeks right there. So I'm feeling really, really good. Honestly, I might just start, I have a decent job, and so I might just start trying to load up an AMP account and, every check, throw some in there and just keep practicing until I could trade with that. Or, I am going to maybe give Tradeify one more shot, but as soon as I can, I'm jumping over to AMP. All these rules are crazy on these these prop firms. They're insane. Tradeify is the best one. The only one with non-trailing intraday drawdown, which makes so much sense. Having trailing max drawdown is such a handicap to a trader, in my opinion. It makes you cut things so early. And it depends. Like if you're want to be in and out in a very short amount of time, then maybe that's for you. Just real quick, 3 candle freaking, I don't even know how it works. Maybe there's probably people out there who are really good at it and can show you how to do that. But I'm kind of I like to try to get some bigger point moves. But yeah, I missed this one all the way up, but I did take this short down to the top of the new week open gap. Definitely closed that way too soon. But it was a good trade. I was happy with what I made there. And then I caught this guy up. It was a pretty cool little trade. And that's why this purple line's here. So we'll get into that. But anyways, it wicked this. It rejected. Okay, so first off, just pre-market or right in the market. Yeah, this is actually a pre-market hourly candle. This is 9 to 10, so it includes the first 30 minutes. Or 18. I'm not too sure. I don't freaking know. What is this? This is the 10 a.m. Yeah, so this is 9. I don't know how they label these. Anyways, this rejected off of the top of this was a longer rejection off of the you could say 75% or 25 all the way down to the last quadrant of this hourly BISI, 50% of the daily fair value gap, and then again it rejects off the high of this fair value gap to get you into that long, and then it comes down, boom, rejects off of essentially the top of this new day, off of this top of this daily fair value gap, BISI, buy side delivery, sell side inefficiency. All right, and it is still a little bit thin down here. Okay, so there's that. Let's get down. Let's see what we see in the 15-minute, if there's anything interesting there. All right, let's check it out. Let's check it out. Let's check it out. This is that last final rejection off of the 50% of the new day opening gap. Actually, that's where it's at. That's where the entry was, not off the top of this. Maybe we'll see it again, another little potential spot. But this was 50% of this new day opening gap, which is a wonderful spot to get in long, as you can see. But it creates this 15-minute fair value gap, doesn't feed it, so it doesn't come back down and then go. It just kind of leaves. Creates this order block here, doesn't use it. Rejects off of that hourly breaker, which overrides this whole situation. But what does it do? This is a breaker right here. It does feed this fair value gap inside this breaker and rejects up. And that is noteworthy in my opinion. I was actually in this end of the day short and I closed it right where I got in right here, and then this happened. But I didn't have that much lot size. I'll show you my entries today too so you could see I'm being legit. Cool. So there's that. Man, kind of cool. Comes down. This is right here. So this is the coolest part about that. So actually we have to go out to the hourly chart. I'll show you why that purple line's there. So this purple line, so if you see, this is a low, a high, and a lower low. So this right here is a breaker. And what I did is all three of these bodies, those are essentially the breaker candles. right? That it should be most sensitive to. So this 50% line right here is this purple line is 50% mean threshold of this breaker. The last three up close candles on this breaker situation here. Okay, that's what we got going. So now we were in the 15-minute, and you could kind of see what happened there. See that? So I got in going long from here. Or actually, there was a pretty cool formation of a 1 minute fair value gap down here, or a 1 minute order block that I recognized as it was forming, which I was stoked about. And then I maybe didn't get the best entry on it, but then so anyways, we'll see that. But I got out at this because I was like, I know if this is a 1 hour breaker that we saw there, I feel like if it was going to inverse that breaker, it's going to be inverse breaker, which it kind of did the breaker was beat. But I figure it would at least reject off, if it wasn't going to close over the top of it, respect it, and go up, I felt like it would at least touch 50% of that breakers if it beats it. Even if it beats it and it closes underneath that bullish breaker, a mean threshold of that bullish breaker, I felt it would at least come to 50% and reject off of it. Even if it gets defeated, it would reject off the mean threshold and come down, which we see kind of happen there. And this is the 5 minute, so we'll take a little bit more time here. Again, this is 50%. Here's your order block there on the 5 minute. Respects it, kind of chops around. This is the 50% mark. Chops around a little bit. This is actually the breaker, or the order block, 5 minute order block, the whole situation. Comes up, closes at 50%. Cool, this little wick. We're getting worried, but we see this candle close above this order block. And let's check out the open of this order block. 81.25. Let's see the low of this candle. 820, and then the open of this candle 82. So it got it a little bit further into it than I thought, but like buy it handle. But that's actually pretty close to, well, it just touched into it. Okay, this guy went a little bit lower, but it rejected out of it. What you want to see. Comes up, meanders, gets above 50%, rejects off of 50% here to the moon. Cool. And then it comes back down. Does it give you any chances? It gives on the 5 minute, no. Boom. Doesn't give you a re-entry there. This would have been hard to get in on. Maybe you could have. Maybe this came back down to 50%, but doesn't look like it did. Boom. This ends up holding throughout the day. This fair value gap kind of meandered inside of this little range for the rest of the day. So I felt like this was a good move up if you ended up catching it. This was a good move. I ended up catching this one, getting out right there. I didn't try to re-enter here. I felt like, with it being during lunch, this was right during lunch. And this is actually a good little thing too, though, because we ran stops here at lunch. Okay. And there was on the 1 minute chart, we'll see it a little bit clearer. I didn't feel like getting in right here. Okay. Because I didn't really feel like I know what I was going to do. Right here, I felt like, okay, we got rejection off of 50%. Now let's reject off of the daily low. And I kind of kept and this is the most exciting. And it's such a small range, so much potential. Can't wait till I catch like a big one. But I did make like $5,000 on this one. So then I put like 10 theoretical money. And then I put 10 lots on this guy and wrote it up to there for about a $10,000 trade. So 15K on the day. Which would have been very logical to do with if I had this account. A real deal. Okay, so now let's get to the 1 minute. Again, this is a little bit clearer here. Boom, closes right there, and it's the high of the hour. This 50% is also the high of the BISI, the hourly BISI. 50% rejects, doesn't feed into this fair value gap. So this move was rather hard to catch, in my opinion. Does it respect 50% of this order block? Looks like it. Pretty close to it. Then this one closes down underneath it. So you could have, this would have been the best entry right here. It would have been hard to catch this. I'm not really seeing anything significant that's going to allow me to get in. It doesn't feed that fair value gap. That's a breakaway gap for the day. You could have maybe caught the last little piece after, you know, it's been over. It's kind of over. This is still a weak entry, in my opinion. Let me zoom. Let me think about this. Is there any breakers? No. No. Could maybe try to catch that from the top. This is the best entry. That was a hard long to catch, but it's also 30. Like we like to play by that rule. Wait for the first till 10. You know, and so if you did that, like, you know, you'd be very hard pressed to catch an entry today to get that long. But let's go over here. We get a logical rejection, which we already talked about on the hourly chart. It wicked into a fair value gap inside of an hourly breaker, bearish breaker. Rejected. Okay, then what did it do here? Inversion fair value gap. Okay. So rejected off of a level we could think is good. Like it's a good rejection there. Okay. That's the level we expect rejection. We get volatility. We get a bullish PD array violated. Okay. And then you get this feed into this inverse fair value gap. It doesn't feed this fair value gap, but this inversion gap, it feeds. Right. And that handle, let's just see what 50% of this guy is. Oh gosh, I thought that should be changed to somehow these charts aren't exactly syncing right. Because this should be just the same as my other one. I have to figure that out maybe. Let's go purple. I use purple today. Look at that close. Oh no, this isn't even right. It's going to be the wick. Okay. I think that's correct. All right. Yeah. The wick touches it perfectly. 50% of this one. Rejects heavy. Down. That's where I got out. I had six lots on this one. Honestly, I got in an anticipatory. I got in an anticipatory entry, so which isn't good. I could have just waited for this and been freaking money, but I got in here. I got in 50% of this because I felt strongly about rejection. Came up, and I added right here. Little Johnny on the spot there. A little bit too much, right? I could have just waited for this guy, which is why I'm doing this, to learn. Breaks down, hits the top of the new day opening gap. Cool. Rejects off of the bottom of that SIBI, sell side imbalance, buy side inefficiency on the hourly chart, which it just, on the hourly chart, this is just a wick, right? Rejects off the bottom. That would have been a beautiful reentry. All right. Cool. And it kind of just takes a little bit of time to get through this new day opening gap. What do we see here? Rejection off the top, rejection off of 50%, rejection off the bottom. This, after it got underneath this would have been another great entry, in my opinion, to go short. It on the hourly, it wicked underneath it. You could see that right here, and it closed underneath this gap. I was a little hesitant to re-enter because it was of the new day opening gap, but that wick kind of told the story of what it was going to do with this SIBI, right? And it fed that breaker. So the direction is decided. We got stops all lined up through here, right? And we got the the high of this daily BISI right here. So, you know, it's all there. I could have potentially, I was a little bit short-sighted on this. Exit. I could have held on a little bit longer, for sure. I could have held on a little bit longer. So here we go. Back into this situation. That was a short-sighted, because you got to see, like, you know, the volatility's there. Hourly close. We could have at least got back in right here if we closed right here after we seen the hourly close. But it's practically already delivered. So, yeah, that was a short-sighted exit. We look at we still had to go 1, 2, 3, 4 lows lined up. This would have been a better exit right there, or even just, and then you say might as well. If it's come down this far, it's going to touch the top of the daily BISI. Okay. That's why we do this. This is actually a very good little study right here. Again, there wasn't much interaction with this order block right here. It didn't come ping into it. But this is a good one. And even this one. But I don't like this as much because it didn't clear this low. So this is a very challenging entry in my opinion. Okay. This one actually did run all the stops, and there's not much over here to think about. And it did already reject it off the top, but I wouldn't feel comfortable putting my stop right here and seeing this come down at you. Man, that'd be hard. But you could say, oh, it failed to take it. It's back over the BISI, and then got in once it reached this order block again. That would have been okay because you're getting the volatility. That would have been a good chance right here, actually. Pretty good. And then now, and also too, what we have is all these staged highs, right? Which it does go out and take. Fails to get to 50%, which you would have gotten another good entry too. This would have been a freaking solid entry. Right about Mia. But anyways, let's focus on this. Again, this one didn't really, that high up there didn't even interact. It leaves, respects this. Let's continue this price leg down. Respects this SIBI. We already kind of did this. Rejects off the top, goes lower, hits the closing price of yesterday. Boom. Rejects off the top of the new day opening gap, feeling really good about that. Rejects off the bottom of the new day opening gap, feeling really good. Boom, touches the top of the SIBI. So now let's continue our study here. Got to keep it moving. Sometimes I'll get off focus, but we're going to try to stay focused. Okay, so look at this hourly, or this 1 minute order block. I felt like it was an order block because it rejected. Didn't even get to 50% again. Rejected up to the top of the hourly BISI. Okay, so I'm thinking right now, I'm thinking bullish. And then we get in, touch of this order block would have been perfect. It kind of meanders and it messes with you a little bit. I had my stop below this low, and I was looking at these candles, right? And as you see these forming, you do see, as these candles are fluctuating, every time it touches this, it does go away. It does go away. And then it would come back and close, kind of close, get you worried. But I had in my mind, if this closes, if they close over the 50% mark, the mean threshold of this 1 minute, what I thought was a 1 minute order block, and on top of that, this even cleared over 50%. So now we're feeling really good. But I was in right here, I believe. So I was like, oh, hell yeah. And then it closed over 50%. So I was like, still looking good, but it challenged the entry. Touches the bottom of the order block, and then it rejects. So that actually makes me feel comfortable. This one comes and touches 50%. I'm like, okay, cool. Let's see what this next candle does. Now we're in the danger zone. It touches that 50%, rejects all the way up, closes right here. Okay, still not bad. This one wicks down, rejects, and now it's closed over it. Now I'm feeling really good. We get a little failure to reach the order block on that one. Boom. Again, this is an hourly. I already explained it. That hourly 50 mean threshold of that hourly breaker. Okay. And so I thought this would have been really good area to take profit. So I put like 10 units on, 10 lots on, but down to right there. That was a pretty fat stop. Whatever. I could have moved it up to 50% of this wick, but I felt pretty comfortable with it. Boom, go straight to it. That was amazing. I felt so good about that. Yeah. And then, so we already explained the exit on that one. Okay. And then at lunchtime, so now we got to think about, okay, now what's it want to do? It's kind of a rangy day, so lunchtime run stops. These are the only stops really left to be had right here at this point. Takes them all. Fails to get to 50%. This is a 1 minute breaker. This candle is open. Is at 98.100. This candle's high 98.00. So yeah, so it didn't exactly get to they respected this little breaker candle on the 1 minute chart. Or let's check mean threshold of this one. That wouldn't really be considered it. The last down close candle in the breaker. That's what I believe it is. Cool. Rejects off of it. Okay, so actually we didn't. This is just a. There's not really much to cover on this leg up. This is a lunchtime stop run. You get the volatility. This is an order block now. You could have got in right there. Assuming he was going to take higher prices. Again, we get the same kind of story unfolded. That one took stop, so maybe that hold low. That's the kind of logic you'd have to maybe use. Inverse this fair value gap. Okay, cool. 50% of this mean threat. This order block right here. Let's see what that looks like. Does it touch it? No. Cool. So you're good. Rejects off the top of the BISI. Fails to reach it. Goes up. And after you're seeing this, you're looking really good. There's no real great entry right here other than trying to get maybe a touch on the... After it rejects, you could have maybe entered here. Best one was recognizing this as an order block and entering it whenever it touched the order block. So all the candles to the right that have came down and touched this bad boy, those would all been great discount buys. And then you could have just you could have just put your limit order. You know what? I rejected off of this. Maybe you're thinking about if it rejected off of this, maybe it'll climb into the 25% mark of this guy. And that would have been right. And run the stop. So it's like, okay, these are all the highs. This is the last stop you could run. If someone rolled their stop up to there, where's the next logical area? Maybe just one rung up on that SIBI. As you can see, it didn't reach the 50. 50 would have been asking for like the perfect situation. This would have been a very logical way to do things. Fails to get to 50. This would have been a good trade right there. There wasn't a great, you could have, since these are two significant closing price and the daily, this is the high of the daily BISI right here. You could have got in event horizon 50% between those two. Or there's some volatility off of this red candle. You could have got in like, somewhere in here. That would have been a good one. It's a little bit, there's a little inefficiency there into that order block. So maybe that would have been good. All right. But this would have been a good entry down. You get the inverse fair value gap pinged and then boom. I don't know if I want to cover any of this because it just kind of goes back and forth this whole time. You get a nice little drop down to the daily low, the high of the BISI. We're trading the high of the BISI is keeping price up right now. Interesting. I was in a situation. I'm going to start showing you my entries, but we'll hold off. I like it to be on a funded. I'm going to do an express funded Tradeify account. That way it's like, you know, more realistic. Like it's everything I'm doing is very realistic, I believe. But it just, you know, this is kind of just whatever. Maybe I'll just start showing these entries too, but maybe not today. But anyways, I exited like on this candle and then it dumped. But I only had one lot on. It was just kind of an experiment because I felt like the price was going to go down from here. I think I got it on this guy right here. No, I was in way back there, bro. I was in right here. So I was like seeing all this crap. It was messing with me the whole time. But yeah. Then it rejects. Boom. This market moves fast, man. Sometimes it doesn't always give the best rejection. So these higher time frame levels may be the best way to get into some trades sometimes. This is what we're going to do here now. 6. So this is the difference right here. Am I going to mark this? Hell yeah. That's where it opened at 6. And we're going to go down to 1. And because these give us ideas like, where's that algo signature? They could ping off of one of these and give us something brilliant, either high or low, to kind of influence our confidence in the trade or trade idea. And this is in dog. And today is the 14th, 8/14. All right. Where's it going to go? I have no clue. Honestly, I already explained in the beginning of the video. It's kind of like two-sided here. It already wicked the fair value gap to the high side, wicked the fair value gap to the low side. The low side looks a little bit less delivered, in my opinion. So maybe we'll see some type of orchestration to go lower. All right. That's all I got, guys. Mucho apreciado.